Good night, Gorilla. Written and illustrated by Peggy Rathmann. We have permission from Puffin Books to read to you today. The zookeeper says, "Good night, Gorilla." But can you see what Gorilla is doing? He's taking the keys from the zookeeper's pocket. Ooh. I don't think Gorilla's ready for bed yet. He unlocked his cage and he's following the zookeeper. Good night, elephant. Oh, Gorilla's got the keys. He's letting everybody out. Good night, lion. Ooh. He's gonna let the lion out too. Good night, hyena. Good night, giraffe. Good night, armadillo. Ooh, if that zookeeper would just turn around, what would he see behind him? Oh, the zookeeper's leaving the zoo and going home. But I think he's got a lot of friends following. Whoop, into the house, down the hall. Whoop, and into bed. Good night, dear. Good night. Good night, good night, good night, good night, good night, good night. Huh? There should only be one good night. The zookeeper's wife turns on the light. And who's in bed next to her? Gorilla. So the zookeeper's wife takes Gorilla by the hand and leads all the animals where they belong, back to the zoo. Good night, zoo, says Mrs. Zookeeper. But can you see who's already following her back home? Oh, good night, dear. Good night. Look who's climbing in the end of the bed. Good night, Gorilla. He's already asleep. And I think that's him in the morning when he wakes up after a good night's rest. Good night, Gorilla.